Okay, welcome. Tonight we're exploring symptoms of the perimenopause. And my aim from tonight is to help to educate you, empower you to consider positive menopause and have a think about what that might mean, because it's a brilliant opportunity to go deeper, to explore the personal development that can happen at this amazing phase of our lives. Now, it can be a time that is excellent. Oh, that's good timing. It can be a time. Hi, Ellie. We're just starting. Thank you so much for joining us. It can be a time that's plagued with brain fog and tiredness and bloating and joint pain and sleep irregularity, food sensitivities. But it can also be a time where we look at our lives and we think, okay, what is functioning optimally? Where is my body out of balance? And what can I do at this phase in my life to bring back some balance? And sometimes that maybe looks like a slight redesign or maybe a little redesign of your life. And that's an opportunity. It's an invitation to do that, because how are you going to live the rest of your life, midlife onwards, because this is where we're at, midlife, really. Perimenopause can be a midlife time. We now know that we live more of our life. The majority of ladies live more of their life, longer in the time after the menopause. So this is a modern day phenomenon, that we have a longer life expectancy, and we maybe spend longer in our menopause years or post-menopause years than what we have in our whole hormonal journey to date. So there's an invitation to think, okay, what can I do now to make this phase of my life much more positive? And that's what I hope you get out of this tonight, that you can do a lot of things. There's a lot of tools in my toolkit, which I like to help my clients with. And, it can be a really positive, empowering time. All right. So let me share my screen. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm post-menopausal. I've got 2 teenage boys, which is quite interesting, having teenage boys when you're post-menopause. I'm 54 and I started to go through the menopause really at 50, 51. And it's interesting. I reckon, having my second son at 42, I went straight into the perimenopause. I was having night sweats. The majority of my perimenopause symptoms were in my head. And what I mean by that is not that they were made up, but they were to do with self-esteem, confidence, brain fog, anxiety. It was all up here. Physically, I did have some night sweats, but when I changed my stress and I stopped drinking alcohol, the night sweats pretty much went away. But the remainder of these symptoms were all up here: overwhelm, stress, anxiety, low self-esteem, my complete loss of confidence that went along with the anxiety. So done a lot of work in that area, managing my stress and working on myself, and seeing this as a brilliant opportunity for personal development. So let me share my screen. Please feel free to ask some questions. If you'd like to use the chat function and type in your questions so we can come back to them at the end, that would be amazing. And we will have plenty of time, hopefully, at the end to answer your questions as well. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so I'm here to really help you to nourish and to cleanse, to support a positive transition through perimenopause to menopause. Tonight, we're going to be looking at common symptoms, and I'm going to get you to have a think about what your symptoms are. We're going to talk a little bit about the foods that are best to support your perimenopause and what foods to avoid and what drinks to avoid. We're going to talk specifically about hot flushes, accidental weight gain, stress, sleep, energy, joint pain, brain fog, food sensitivities. And there will be a case study based on a real life client and a chance for questions and answers at the end. I'm a qualified nutritionist. I specialize in the gut primarily and hormones. I'm the author of a book called Nourish Your Gut for a Positive Menopause. My gut healing, my 8-week gut healing program has won a gold medal in the Janie Lee Grace Industry Awards. And I was awarded in 2019, I was awarded UK Nutritionist of the Year in the Total Wellness Club Wellness Awards. But why listen to me? Well, menopausal mum of 2 teenage boys, pivoting my business after the COVID. I do rely on a lot of natural symptoms to support my own menopause journey. And I love teaching other women to do the same. So I'd like you to consider where you are on your health journey at the moment. You know, wherever we are on our health journey, whether we're in the beginning in the perimenopause, this is a chance to go deeper and to heal and to cleanse at a deeper level. So we may be on a road to better health. It's a bit of an up and down journey, but as long as we continue to move forward, and you cannot move forward to the next chapter by rereading the last chapter, and you cannot skip the process. The good part will come. I truly believe that. But you can use this time of your life as a great opportunity for personal growth, for deeper healing, and for empowerment. Your symptoms may well open the door to learning about how to better support yourself in midlife. So maybe you'll become aware of an unwanted discomfort like tiredness or bloating or joint pain, or you're not sleeping as well as you used to, or brain fog. And now's a chance to build some knowledge, to understand what drives those symptoms and how that connects to your gut health and your hormones. Because once you're aware of your symptoms, you can learn how to improve them. And in doing so, you can experience an improvement in those symptoms. And then from there, you can maybe create some new goals, like redesigning your life. So what is the perimenopause? This is when your body starts to prepare you for the menopause. And the menopause, believe it or not, is one day. It's the one day after the 1 year of you not bleeding. So the menopause really begins is that one day after that 1 year of no bleeding. But it's during the perimenopause stage that your ovaries begin to produce less estrogen and progesterone, and your periods can become very irregular, very erratic, very heavy. They can last for weeks on end. They can last for 2 weeks, and then you have a break for 4 days, and then you just have this monumental amount of blood and clotting, and it can become crazy. But you can also experience a lot of physical and emotional symptoms. So you could be feeling irritable, irrational, teary all the time, not sleeping well, feeling like I was, feeling very overwhelmed and anxious and struggling with panic attacks. And perimenopause can last anywhere from a few months to several years, with the average being around 4 years. Most people do start perimenopause at some point, maybe their mid-40s, and some as early as mid-30s. And some people may even skip perimenopause altogether. The chances of pregnancy, while they're low, it is still possible to fall pregnant in the perimenopause. You may still be ovulating, so you could still fall pregnant. It is still possible. And for me, I think really my perimenopause started at 42 after the birth of my second son, but he didn't sleep for the first 3 years. So that was enough the level of stress to catapult me into all sorts of exhaustion, stress-related challenges. So, and then the stages of the menopause, really, like the pre-menopause, that could be, anywhere from the perimenopause, anywhere from 35 onwards. And interestingly, now I'm dealing with a lot of clients, maybe pre or post cancer diagnosis or surgeries where chemo, radiation, or surgery has meant the medically induced menopause, and that can be happening from 30 onwards. If that's the case, and suddenly you're catapulted straight into the menopause. And then the menopause, is lasting that year. Really, it's that one day after the first year where you no longer bleed, and then you're in the period of post-menopause. But what's actually happening in that time is that you have this fluctuations in estradiol and progesterone. And the progesterone over a lifetime peaks, when in our 20s to our 35, and then it starts to drop. And once the progesterone is the calming hormone, it is the soothing, feel calm, be able to relax sort of hormone. Once it starts to drop, it's unlikely that it's going to ever go back up again considerably. Whereas the estradiol, the E2, E1, E2, E3, the main sources of estrogen, jump all over the place, and particularly in the perimenopause. And this is what causes the erratic, the night sweats, the mood swings, the massive bleeding changes, like bleeding for 2 weeks and then nothing for a week and then bleeding again for 2 weeks. It also is the erratic up and down of the estradiol causes metabolic changes, and that's what causes the brain fog or the memory loss, the sleep disturbances, and even that blood sugar imbalance. So it's that, it's the erratic estradiol that really causes a lot of the havoc. And there are a lot of things that we can do to help stabilize that in terms of lifestyle, diet, and herbs that can really help to support that. I always say to my clients, the body whispers a long time before it starts to shout. So what is your body telling you? Is it whispering that things are a little bit out of balance, that you would be better off maybe changing your lifestyle, focusing on rest and hydration and a little bit different foods, or is it already shouting? So have a think about some of these symptoms. I'd like to know maybe, if you're experiencing 5 or more of these symptoms and they're becoming quite life debilitating. I have clients that come to me, women over the age of 40, who are struggling with many of these symptoms. So maybe it's soreness, joint pain, digestive distress, IBS, constipation, your hair changing, like your hair falling out or becoming really thin and brittle. Sometimes upper digestive stress like reflux can happen. Insomnia and sleep disturbances, maybe that's causing you to wake up 3 or 4 times a night. Brain fog, headaches and migraines, even like skin changes where you suddenly become sensitive to certain fabrics or products or foods that cause hives. You may be feeling jittery, you're feeling really like crap a lot of the time. You have this, all of a sudden you have bladder weakness, or you're feeling puffy and you're losing your muscle mass. And it's all quite a depressing list when you look at this. Can certainly be associated with thyroid dysfunction, which has a big impact on the metabolism. Of course, the loss of breast fullness, loss of libido, high anxiety, even vaginal dryness and vaginal atrophy is a problem that we can do a few things about, natural solutions that can support these symptoms. So I'd love to hear from you in the chat box. How many of these symptoms do you struggle with? Do you have one or two that are really starting to shout at you, that are starting to have a very debilitating impact on your life? It is worth doing the work. It really is worth doing the work now. Because if you don't, if you ignore these symptoms, your menopause is going to be difficult. You know, you could be struggling with burnout, this accidental weight gain. Food allergies can become worse. Mood changes, you know, belly bloat, constipation, low energies, low. You know, you ignore these symptoms and your body will start to shout. Can you hear me okay? Hopefully you can hear me okay. Okay, so what can we do about these? Now, it's very interesting that, you know, that change in estrogen, that fluctuation in estrogen, which leads to hot flushes, also causes inflammatory spikes. Now, this can have a knock-on effect in all parts of the body. It can cause cardiovascular disease. It can cause osteoporosis, brain inflammation, insulin sensitivity. And what happens is that so many parts of the body's compensatory systems, those that are picking up the slack, like your insulin, your thyroid, your adrenals, your mucous membranes, your collagen, all of these body systems, the microbiome, they're all picking up the slack because of this change in estrogen. And estrogen is not only needed for reproduction, it's needed for mucous membrane elasticity. It's needed for cardiovascular health. It's needed for cognitive function. So we need to look after these other parts of the body in order to help to ride the wave of that imbalance. So we need to, you know, spend more time thinking about and looking after supporting the thyroid, supporting the adrenals, supporting the digestion. And I'm going to give you a few tips tonight on how to do that. So listen out for that one or two things that are going to land that you could do differently as a result of tonight. This is what I teach in my program. I teach you to nourish, to hydrate well, to eat well, to thrive, not to deprive yourself. I teach you how to cleanse. So this could be looking like a little bit of a different routine in your morning and your afternoon routine, in your evening routine. I teach you techniques. So this is a little snapshot tonight of what I teach in my program. And they're 8-week-long programs, 3-month-long programs, and one-to-one. And I teach you how to restore balance, to repair the gut lining, to repair the thyroid, to support the thyroid, to support the adrenals. And I also teach you how to redesign your life, like how to realign with your goals and how to connect with your purpose and how to assess your whole life so you can be feeling more balanced. So step one, a little bit of an overview. Step one would be to nourish and to eliminate toxic foods. And I'll show you what those what the main culprits are for imbalance for your hormones. We cleanse, we open up the elimination channels to remove toxins. And when I talk about elimination channels, I mean all 7 elimination channels, not just the bowels. Think about the lungs, the skin, the bladder, the liver as part of the elimination channels. So we think of all of those, we think about the kidneys, the liver, the bladder, even the adrenals, and the breath. So important that we support all of those elimination channels. Step 3 is we restore balance. Maybe that looks like eating differently, changing the meal times ever so slightly, not snacking late into the night. And, ultimately, perhaps to redesign your life. It can be the big unveiling this time of our lives. So, how do we want to live the rest of our lives? What can we take forward into this beautiful time to have a positive perimenopause? Sorry, the writing gets a little bit small on this. There's a couple of slides with a lot of information. But it is possible to support our hormones through changing our lifestyle. So through regular, gentle exercise. I'm not talking about high intensity training. That may not work for you at this time, but gentle meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, yoga nidra, gentle walking, all to prioritize that natural rhythm, the natural movement, getting outside each day, even if it's for 20 minutes. Prioritizing a healthy sleep cycle. Now, I tend to go to bed at the same time every night. By about 9:30, 9:15, I'm lowering the lights. By 9:30, I'm usually in bed, reading a book, getting my essential oils on, putting my diffuser on, having my water, doing my gratitudes, doing a little bit of journaling, trying to wind down my jaw, wind down my brain, doing a bit of touch on my forehead, my jaw, my back of my neck, putting some essential oils on my feet. Just having that ritual around the end of the day that's really calming, instead of staying up late, being on screen, working too late. I tend to not be able to come back to my desk late at night now. I just, you miss that first circadian rhythm. That's, that first time of your body feeling tired. That's when you start to lower the lights and reduce the strain on the brain and get those early night sleep. That those hours before midnight are worth gold. They're worth double points. So good for the adrenals, for that ability to rest and rejuvenate and repair. Because all of these, the very supportive sleep and exercise can be really supportive for the mental health and can be very protective against hot flushes and against weak bones. Now, interestingly, wearing tight clothing around this time of your life may no longer serve you. So natural fibers, loose-fitting clothing, regular cool showers. I love my ice baths, getting into hot, cold water therapy and avoiding hot, spicy food, caffeine, and alcohol can all be, quite triggering for your hormone symptoms. So just be aware that diet and nutrition can play a massive role in supporting the, those changes, as erratic hormone fluctuations at this time. Let's have a think about the causes of accidental weight gain at this time of the life. Interestingly, on average, women gain about a pound a year from 35 onwards. If you're still comparing yourself, and I was in this trap for quite some time, I had genes that are 25 years old, pre-baby genes, when I used to go clubbing and I think, pairs of hot pants or something, and I'd be comparing myself to the size I was then and beating myself up because I didn't quite fit into these jeans anymore. And it was so depressing for me. And I'm thinking, what am I doing to myself? Our body changes shape. And because our body changes shape, this has a big impact on the redistribution of fat, particularly to the abdomen. But why this happens? Because it happens for a couple of reasons. Estrogen can be derived from fat cells. So when we're making less estrogen, the body is more inclined to store fat as a way of allowing us to have a reserve of estrogen. So as I said, we need estrogen for cardiovascular health. We need it for brain health. We need it for bone density. We need it for muscle mass. So if our body is losing estrogen, our body's doing a really smart thing by storing fat, because it will know that the fat cells can take up the slack from the estrogen production. So our bodies are really clever, actually. And knowing our bodies are evolving and we're living longer, then isn't it clever of our body to store all this excess fat in order to derive this extra estrogen? But at the same time, we're storing this excess, the extra fat. So the body's saying store fat, store fat, store fat. But we also have reduced physical activity. I know I am far less active, and I have to be really diligent and disciplined with my daily activity than what I was 20 years ago. I was running around after, I was living in different countries, running mobile juice businesses, doing easily 20 to 30,000 steps a day. And I was eating well, but then my kids come along and I'm running around after the kids. Now I do have a standing desk, but I spend most of my day at my desk, in the car, driving my children around, and I have to be really disciplined about my physical activity. Like, I have to physically go and do it. It's not just this residual exercise that happens now. And also, I've noticed that I eat more. Like, I'm absolutely famished some of the time because I'm running on empty. My adrenals are a little bit depleted, and I'm so hungry all of the time. I just have this insatiable appetite because I'm trying to fuel for this extra energy. And I do know from the tests that I've run on myself that I do have a little bit of a decreased thyroid production. This happens when we age, and therefore that's going to have an effect on the metabolism. So I can see all of this happening for myself, for sure. With the reduction of the estrogen, with the reduction of the progesterone, the fat cells are picking up the slack. And and this is one of the things that happens. So just knowing this redistribution of fat to the abdomen then also makes it harder for our hormones to be cleared. So when we have hormones that are being absorbed into adipose tissue, this abdomen weight, they almost create their own hormones, and they're very, they become much harder to lose that belly weight. I know it's not all good news. However, there are things we can do. Abdominal fat is a bit of a vicious cycle, because the more abdominal fat we have, the less energy we have, the higher our BMI is. Then we also have more insulin resistance, and we lose that ability to feel satisfied. So we feel like we're needing to fill up more on carbohydrates. We feel maybe we're running on empty, and we've got this reliance on sugar for energy. So it's no surprise that if you're feeling a bit brain fogged and tired and you've got joint pain, that you're reaching for carbohydrates, you're reaching for sugar to get you through. And what happens is that, the body is, it's relying on sugar for energy, but we become a little bit more insulin resistant. So the message to the body is store fat, store fat, store fat. And then if we've got stress on top of that, then again, that message is to store fat. So it's supporting those other body systems, supporting the thyroid, supporting the liver, supporting the adrenals. So making sure you're not chronically stressed all the time. You're having a break from that stress is really, really important. So we know that stress has a massive impact on our hormones. It causes a release of cortisol. When we have the release of cortisol, we have the message to release insulin to help mop up the cortisol. And as soon as we have insulin being released, we have the message to the body to store fat. But cortisol also decreases DHEA, which is something that I measure in my tests. And this is the fundamentals of mitochondrial energy. So high stress means less energy. High stress also means high glucose, and that also decreases our energy. But high stress also decreases our other hormones. So progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen will also be reduced. So we've already got this reduction in those sex hormones, and high stress will deplete those sex hormones even further. So, and we are the sandwich generation. I don't know if you're in this situation, caring for aging parents. parents that have dementia, parents that have chronic disease, and you've got young children. It's like we are the savage generation. So, that's enough to cause us plenty of stress. And stress will also have an impact on blood pressure, heart disease, cognitive function, and the gut. But there is things that we can do. It's not all bad news. This is a really good time to reduce your stress. A nourished body does equal a nourished mind. And how do you want the next phase of your life to look? More time out, earlier nights to bed, more quiet time, a little bit more stillness, maybe a little bit more meditations, maybe beautiful sunrise, sipping a nice cup of tea with essential oils going in the background, doing a little bit of journaling. I love my sunrises undisturbed. I love getting up nice and early, having that time to meditate before my kids start, mom, 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 all the demands. This is time, for positive perimenopause, it is time to manage that natural rhythm, to reduce your stress, to focus on eating well, gently exercising each day. And sometimes exercise might mean yoga nidra. Get on the floor, do a body scan. Get on the floor at the end of the day, have the legs up the wall, diffuse some beautiful essential oils, try and switch off with a gentle meditation. Getting to bed earlier, if it's possible. And whatever is disturbing your sleep, really think about it. What is it? For me, it had to go. So for me, it was alcohol. Alcohol was disturbing my sleep. Alcohol had to go. Then it was the dog, the puppy dog coming in and sleeping in our bed and tossing and turning, taking up half the bed. It's like, please, the dog does not have to sleep in our bed. What was once one of my children, we were co-sleeping for so long. It's like, okay, he's really got to go to his own bed now. But that for me, any sort of light disturbance. Now I've got Velux blackout blinds. I even have a little gaffer tape over the light on my diffuser. I black out blinds. If I'm ever away, I'll always take an eye mask with me. So I have blackout eye mask, earplugs if necessary, really focusing on that natural rhythm. So cortisol has a massive impact on your hormones, and you'll notice here whether it's either high cortisol or low cortisol. And I do see quite a lot of ladies that have low cortisol. Low cortisol is your adrenals on the floor. You're fatigued. You've just got no get up and go. You may have severe salt and sugar cravings. You're gaining weight, but you're really low in mood. You're really irritable and anxious. But high cortisol symptoms similar, like brain fog, insomnia, weight gain, fatigue, can be high blood pressure. So again, these are symptoms of, is your body shouting? I do have quite a lot of clients at the moment with high blood pressure. It's like, yeah, that's okay. Chronic stress is a thing, running on empty is a thing. Adrenal fatigue is a thing. Please pay attention to these symptoms. There is things that we can do. Definitely think about if you are still drinking alcohol regularly, like if you are exceeding your 14 units a week, that will be contributing to cortisol. It'll be contributing to your unhealthy waist circumference. It will be putting a strain on your liver. It will be interrupting your sleep, and it will be affecting your nutrient absorption. Same with too much caffeine. 1 cup of coffee a day can be very good for the liver, can be very good for the brain. 5 cups of coffee a day can be very very dehydrating, putting a strain on the adrenals, sending that message of cortisol, causing that insulin spike, causing you to store fat. So just be aware, how does it make you feel? I've just had 2 weeks without coffee. I had 1 coffee yesterday, a decaf, and it just made me feel a little bit jittery. I'm like, no, coffee's not even suiting me anymore. I've become so sensitive to things. So have a think about, what is triggering you? Is it spicy food? Is it wearing tight clothing? Is it too much alcohol? How do you, how are you feeling when you're eating late at night? It's spiking your blood sugar. It's affecting your sleep. So certain foods to avoid during the menopause, I can honestly, or during the perimenopause, I can honestly say deep fat fried foods, highly processed foods, and refined carbohydrates are really not your best friend. What you really need to be eating, I'm going to show you in a moment, is oily fish, cruciferous vegetables, good pulses, beans, legumes, isoflavones, more plant-based diet, really, with some good omega-3 in there will hold you in good stead. But you can all of a sudden become really sensitive, even to things like tomato ketchup, even some cheap chocolates, too much wine can all result in hives, and that's a sure sign that you're not, those foods are not supporting you. It's important to try and manage our weight. This accidental overweight situation can be managed through reducing calories, which can be a bit tricky. You've got to make sure you're getting the right amount of calories. I mean, you can get 200 calories from a donut, you can get 200 calories from an orange. Which one is going to be more beneficial for your hormones? You need nutrient-dense calories, but certainly reducing your calorie intake can be beneficial at this time, and increasing your physical activity, but not to the point where it stresses you out. So, having high intensity workouts may not be useful for you, but a gentle walk, a half-hour walk in the midday light this time of year can be really beneficial for helping you reduce stress. Now, I do encourage my clients to keep a food diary, even if it's for a couple of weeks, so you can really see what you are eating, because sometimes you can be a bit mindless in what you are eating, especially if you're snacking all the time, and then that can be, a lot of hidden calories. The aim in the long term would not to be counting calories, but making sure when we're looking at a food diary that we're getting enough protein, we're getting enough fat, and we're getting a decent amount of carbohydrates, but from the right foods. So, having good omegas, good leafy greens, lots of high antioxidant foods, this is where you should be getting most of your calories. So a healthy plate of food may look like this, where you've got plenty of unprocessed vegetables, maybe just a little bit of unprocessed fruits, high antioxidant fruits, plenty of protein-rich foods, like really 25 to 30% protein-rich foods, 5% concentrated nutrients, where you're getting that from spices or food supplements or herbs, and then good healthy fats, like olives, coconuts, avocados, nuts and seeds. But you can see the majority of your nutrients here you're getting from unprocessed variety of vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables, your broccoli, your kale, all those good gut feeding vegetables. So your shopping basket may end up looking something like this, instead of highly processed foods and takeaways and lots of sugary foods. So you're getting whole grains, lots and lots of vegetables, predominantly plant-based, maybe three oily portions of oily fish a week. And if you're not having oily fish, then you're supplementing with if you're vegan, you're supplementing with a really good oil, with a hemp oil, avocado oil, walnut oil, any of those really good oils. And you're getting, flax oil, and you're getting some of those really good seeds in that are going to give you good fats as well. So I do encourage you to think about gut healing foods as well. So yes, good oils and fats, good hydration, a little bit of fermented food. So whether that's from kefir, kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, good range of proteins from nuts and seeds, whether you're making it into dips or bliss balls, or you're having some roasted seeds in a soup, and then lots of plants, lots and lots of plants. It's going to really nourish your hormones. And think about cortisol reducing foods. So again, your wild fish, good omega a source of omega-3, really good. High doses of vitamin C. Green tea can be really good for L-theanine, which is a very good source for overriding the effects of too much cortisol. Glutamine is a really common amino acid that is very, very important. You can get that in some nice, well-prepared cheese, although I don't really have a lot of cheese in my diet, but a little bit of goat's cheese. And soybeans, interestingly, are cortisol blockers, so they can really help to remove the toxins from the cells. They're very supportive. As long as you've got organic, non-genetically modified soybeans, can be really helpful. Now, progesterone is the stress buffering hormone. And progesterone also helps release of GABA, and it helps to ease anxiety. So if you are struggling with symptoms like I was, that were all in my head, so the overwhelm, the self-esteem, the stress, the anxiety, and again, from tests that I've run on myself, that low dopamine, low ability to produce a lot of GABA associated with neurodivergence, ADHD, that sort of thing, knowing that I really had to focus on these foods to support the progesterone, that feeling calm at the end of the day. So a handful of almonds, lots of cruciferous vegetables, like focusing on 2 portions of cruciferous vegetables a day. So broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, lightly steamed every day, can be really, really good. Pumpkin, absolutely love my pumpkin. Good time of year for that. And beans, as long as they've been well soaked, well rinsed, can be also really beneficial. So just, my lunch may look like this, where I've got some good fats, some good seeds, nuts, good oily fish, avocado, some raw veg, some steamed veg, plenty of hydration. It's quite a different way of eating, making sure it's all real food. And I love my smoothies. If you know me long enough, you'll know that I love my smoothies, because I can put so many extra things in. I can add some chia seeds, some hemp seeds, some flax seeds. I can add some good protein powder. I can add some good oils. I can add, moringa, spirulina, any of those good things. I get my kids to drink it as well. But, it can be sometimes a little bit green, but it's a great way to make sure you're getting what you need for breakfast and making enough for later in the day. So, if you get to 4 o'clock and you're feeling really tired, and that's the time that you are reaching for chocolate or biscuits or whatever else is in the house, just having that second smoothie at that time can be so beneficial. Much better for your hormones than reaching for your digestive biscuits or your handful of chocolate. Sometimes redesigning your life may have to look like batch making, or some rituals that you have on the weekend. So usually I will juice once a week, and I batch make those juices and I keep them in glass in the fridge. I used to juice every day. I don't feel like I've got the time right now, but I batch make so that I know that I've got enough for a few days and enough for the whole family. So, getting beautiful homegrown beetroot or fresh from the markets beetroot and some ginger and apple and lemon, and knowing that I'm getting those nutrients into me every day can be so, so good for the hormones. And I know that after my second son was born, I was feeling so depleted. I was postnatally depressed. As soon as I got back into getting outside each day, getting for a walk, doing my juices, stopping living off bread and chocolate, toast and chocolate, quick carbohydrate energy, I started to feel so different. So, if you're running on empty and you're not sleeping well, but you're fueling your body with quick release sugars, then, you're not fueling your body effectively to produce that energy. So I really encourage you to think about juicing or making smoothies. It can be very time efficient way of getting more nutrients into your body. So maybe a little bit of a checklist, some of the things that you might not have in your diet at the moment. Ideally, I don't do organic 100%. I do where I can, and I veggie wash everything, but I try to do as much possible, locally sourced or getting it from common soil. We're lucky with what we've got around this area, and adding in fermented foods. So occasionally making some kimchi or getting some kefir from the market, or getting some sauerkraut from the market. Making sure I've got enough good fats and oils in my diet. If you're struggling with joint pain, like you've got hip pain, you've got joint pain, that sort of thing, it can be because you're quite deficient in omega-3, and you've got maybe too much omega-6, and you need omega-9, omega-7. Herbal teas, lots more herbal teas instead of coffee is really good. Seeds and sprouts, they can be quite fun to sprout your own, make your own broccoli sprouts if you've got time. Sort of like just rinsing them off each day and letting nature do the work on your windowsill. It's quite fun. And marrow bones, if you aren't vegan, then having some bone broth can be really, really good. And if you are vegan, you can do a potassium broth where you're getting all that nutrients, you're getting all the electrolytes and minerals out of the vegetables, and you're drinking that in the afternoon. Can be really good for your energy. So maybe, you could look at that list and think, what's one thing that you could add in? A herbal tea is a good substitute instead of having too many cups of coffee. Okay, couple of tips for more energy and weight loss, because a lot of clients come to me and they would like to lose a little bit of weight. Make sure you're having fat and protein at every meal, particularly breakfast. Okay, how you start your day, believe it or not, will govern how you sleep. So if you start your day with more protein, you will be better off with your sleep routine. Smoothies, as I've said, are a great source of antioxidants and increasing the number of fruit and veg. Ideally, we're aiming for, around 30 different fruit and veg a week. And the easiest way to do that is with smoothies and juices. I would be cautious about skipping meals. Okay, this is not really the time in your life to go crazy with fasting. It does work okay for some people. Certainly making sure that you are closing the window of your eating window at a reasonable time, like 6, 7 o'clock at night. Make that non-negotiable, where you do not eat after that time, because that will disrupt your sleep, and that will also disrupt your insulin, and it will disrupt your gut health, and it will disrupt your energy for the next day. Okay, so if you wanted to fast, then you've got that overnight fasting window where you can close your eating window at 7 o'clock at night. Don't open it again until maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. That can be a good strategy for weight loss. And I do know some women, some clients are doing the clean fast, where they're reducing that eating window down to maybe a 4 or a 6 hour eating window. All I can say is that if you are really, really stressed, don't do that, because you're going to add to your stress. Make sure that you're fueling your body well with protein and fat at every meal, even if the meals are smaller, and then you're not snacking in between. Okay, now adding a teaspoon of cinnamon to your meals, particularly your smoothies, can help with blood sugar balance. And thinking about some supplements, I'm going to talk about those in a moment, but magnesium, vitamin D, the adaptogens are really, really good. But just be aware of fasting for too long. Like, I know if I fast for too long, I get crazy jittery. It just doesn't suit me. And I don't want to deprive myself. So then I end up overeating. So just be careful with that. You'll find a sweet spot somewhere You know, for me, like an 8-hour eating window seems to work well, and I'm having plenty of fat and protein during that time can work better than having like a 4-hour eating window and then feeling really shaky. So, you know, if you're trying those things, you know, reach out to me if I can be of help, because it's sometimes a little bit of a tweak that's needed if you're thinking about trying to lose weight but keeping that energy up. There are a few really essential vitamins for your hormones. Now, you can, in terms of that food plate, think about what you're getting from food first. Sometimes there can be nutrient deficiencies that can drive hair loss, loss of energy, sudden weight gain, dry skin, constipation, even increase in cholesterol. Sometimes this can be a sign of nutrient deficiency. So if you're not sure, the best way is to get tested. I do a range of blood tests, hormone tests, stool tests to ascertain what's really going on for you, all right? But when you have a decrease in estrogen, this is also associated with a decreased level of magnesium. And magnesium is definitely needed if you're feeling tired, anxious, headachy, if you've got heart palpitations, if you struggle with brain fog and bowel motility, like if you've got irregular bowel movements, like prone to constipation or that, you know, sensitivity in your bowels, then having 400 milligrams of magnesium a day. And it depends on what you're struggling with as to what type of magnesium. So generally, I'd say take magnesium last thing at night. And if you would normally take it up to bowel tolerance. So, you know, if your bowels become a bit too loose, you know, you've taken a bit too much. But if you're not sleeping, then magnesium glycinate can be really, really good. But if you've got, you know, a bit more prone to constipation, you know, different magnesiums, I recommend a really good biofood magnesium from Cytoplan, which is a really good all-round magnesium. And it's they're grown in cruciferous vegetables. It's grown in cruciferous vegetables, so it's really well recognized by the body. But definitely have a look at your magnesium levels. It's needed. Magnesium's needed for every cell function. So we all need magnesium. What I see, some of the nutrients to be most efficient in my clients, particularly when I'm doing blood tests, are B12, vitamin D, A, B2, vitamin C. Vitamin D particularly, very important for gut mucous membrane, very important for your hormones. And really, you're looking at between 4 and 16 drops a day, depending on the dosage, or a spray. A spray is very, very good. Better use spray with D3K2 is very good. But, you know, when you're deficient in vitamin B and your C and your D, this can cause a sluggish thyroid. And then this compounds metabolism issues. So if your thyroid is sluggish, you're going to have that belly weight. And then, of course, the belly weight comes with cravings and the feeling tired and that insulin sensitivity. So really look after your nutrients. And, of course, you know, vitamin D, homocysteine, your folates, your B vitamins, they're all needed for bone density. Now, alcohol, interestingly, will rob all of your nutrients. So if you're still relying on alcohol as mummy's little helper at this stage in your life, you are destroying your mucosal membranes, you're destroying your digestive enzymes, and you are robbing your nutrients. So, you know, thinking about changing your lifestyle, having 3 lunar cycles or 3 menstrual cycles without alcohol, you will really benefit. Vitamin C is really essential for energy, for your skin, your bones, your mucous membranes. It's also anti-inflammatory. It also helps you make collagen. So you're making less collagen in the perimenopause and the menopause. So taking up to between 40 milligrams up to 2 grams of vitamin C a day, depending on how depleted you are. But also if you're stressed, you're going to be burning through your vitamin C. So particularly in times of stress, making sure you're getting really good levels of vitamin C, magnesium, and B12. They are required for metabolizing your hormones. And if you're burning through them really, really quickly, you'll be burning through those nutrients far too quickly. So you would need to supplement. Vitamin E also really, really important. without vitamin E, your body won't be able to use iodine. Iodine's really, really important for the thyroid, and also for metabolizing the hormones. So, there's a few nutrients that are so essential. Your EPA and DHA is vital from either fish oil, but if you're vegan, you can get really good EPA, DHA from vegan sources, but you need to think about supplementing that. Now, interestingly, if you're struggling with pain during intercourse, or you've got vaginal dryness or vaginal atrophy, and you have burning sensations, then interestingly, omega-7 is very, very good. So very good also for dry skin, dry mucous membranes. If you're struggling with dry eyes, then omega-7, particularly from sea buckthorn oil as a supplement, is very, very good. And CoQ10. Now, CoQ10, a lot of research on COVID recovery, long COVID. CoQ10 is vital for energy. It's also really important for mitochondrial energy and cardiovascular support and the immune system. So looking for a good supplement, and I can guide you on this, but I do recommend a combination of some of these things, and I'll go through a case study with you shortly to show you what sort of doses I normally use. Enzymes are super important. So enzymes come from your food. Your body produces enzymes, but we know that we're producing less enzymes as we age. And if you are not producing enough enzymes, you're going to struggle with adrenal fatigue. So adding in more raw foods, so a little bit of raw rocket, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a little bit of fresh ginger at your meal can be very, very good for making sure that you are able to break down the food that you're eating. But you can also add in digestive enzymes. Sometimes, for me, adding in digestive enzymes to the client can be life-changing. They're actually breaking down their food where they haven't been doing that for years because the pancreas is not producing enough enzymes. So again, that is in tests. We can ascertain what the pancreas is doing. If I know that you're low in enzymes, then just adding in a little bit of raw food on the plate, a little bit of bitter green foods, your leafy greens that are bitter, a little bit of fresh ginger can really help. And your raw, like your juices and smoothies that got the enzymes in them, it's so good for breaking down that, giving you that energy. So there's a couple of herb combinations that I use quite a lot in my clinic. Menopause and Zen Plus, both from New Roots Herbal. These are practitioner compounds. They're based on herbs. A really nice combination of Dong Quai, Chast Tree, which is Agnus castus, red clover, dandelion, black cohosh, and ashwagandha, which is an adaptogen, which can really help with perceived stress and with cravings. Can be very, very good, very, very good for helping manage weight, that waist circumference. It can be supportive for blood pressure as well. These two combinations are natural ingredients that help regulate estrogen and progesterone and help with that smooth transition. So these are two combinations that I use quite a lot in my clinic. And thinking about protein. So a lot of my clients, I will encourage to take a vegan organic protein powder that is free from dairy, soya, whey, any additives, any synthetic nutrients, any maltodextrin or E numbers. And I love Protein Fix because, again, it's got the adaptogens in it. So it's got all the medicinal mushrooms like reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane, turkey tail, all that sort of thing. Again, this is very good for helping with waist circumference because you do want to keep an eye on that hip to waist ratio. Once your waist starts to exceed your hips, that visceral fat is putting a lot of strain on your organs. So you do not want that. But the protein, getting enough protein also helps with dopamine, energy, your insulin response, and it helps all those hormone receptors work better. All right, so think about getting enough protein. I've always got this in stock in my clinic. I love it so much. And then some of the other nutrients, like thinking about a B complex, thinking about D vitamins, whether it's in drops or a spray. All of these are very important for sleep hygiene. We know that vitamin D and B12 and zinc plays a really important role in your tight junctions in your gut. And we know that, you know, the adrenals, the nervous system plays a really important part in also balancing the gut. You know, chronic stress weakens the gut function. And it's going to be really interesting as to what emotions bubble up at this time in our life, particularly if we've been living out of balance. So it's a great opportunity to change your lifestyle. Think about how you can support your adrenals, how you can support your nervous system. B vitamins, adaptogen herbs can be very useful. I absolutely love this blend for hot flushes. If you or any of your girlfriends struggle with hot flushes, I really encourage you to get one of these. Maybe you can give it to them for Christmas. This is a custom blend of clary sage, geranium, or lavender. Some people are a little bit sensitive to geranium, but always test that. Lemon, peppermint, and a carrier oil. And just rolling this on the bottom of the feet, rolling it down the spine, rolling it on the back of the neck. And some clients have said 8-hour relief from hot flushes. Can you imagine if you are struggling with hot flushes all night long or during the day, and you could just carry that in your handbag? It works a treat. Some of the other essential oils that I love to use to help manage stress, lavender particularly is a favorite, rosemary from Remembrance for clear mind, clary sage, rubbing that either side of the ankle point, which is the hormone point, can be really very good to help lower the cortisol. And I tell you what, these oils work fantastically when you use them. Okay, so applying them to the body several times during the day can be very beneficial for managing these symptoms and come with no side effects. Now, there's huge benefits from focusing on supporting the gut, and we do that by looking at the entire digestive system, looking at the liver, the stomach, the pancreas, the small intestine, the large intestine. I offer a couple of different programs. The 3-week Beat the Belly Bloat program, which is really about diet and lifestyle and some supplements, and the 8-week gut transformation program. So if you're struggling with your digestive system, you're struggling with bloating, IBS symptoms, then it may be worthwhile getting tested so we know exactly what's going on in the gut, because, you know, really, you will have more energy, you will sleep better, you will have more ideal weight, you will have happier hormones if you really focus on doing the work in the gut. And that could mean slowing down your eating very differently, chewing your food well, adding in some digestive enzymes, all of that so you can digest all that life has to offer. Right, I've been helping lots of ladies for many, many years, whether it is for beating the belly bloat, losing weight, sleeping better, getting that spring back in your step. But let's share a case study. Here's a typical client that I would see, 45 years old, irregular periods for the last 2 years, struggling with hot flushes and night sweats, struggling with anxiety, deep sadness, waking up 3 to 4 times a night, definitely having a low protein and fat diet, but high carbohydrate intake, relying on refined carbohydrates a lot and a lot of sugar. In her blood tests, we saw that the glucose levels were high and the vitamin D levels were low. In the Dutch test, which is a hormone test, we saw that the estradiol, the estrogen, the main form of estrogen, and the progesterone were all really low, post-menopausal range. So this is a 45-year-old woman in perimenopause, but her hormones were on the floor. They were post-menopausal range. She wasn't producing hardly any. What we did was certainly we first focused on breakfast and adding in good fat and protein. We changed breakfast from refined carbohydrates, cereals, to a good smoothie and some fat and protein. We lowered her carbohydrate intake. I educated her around a sleep routine with essential oils, meditating, lowering the lights, changing that circadian rhythm, not being on a screen, not working late into the night. We introduced some meditations. We increased her physical activity, but we changed the physical activity to include more yoga, more Tai Chi, and walking. She agreed to cut out alcohol for 3 months and change. She didn't completely cut out refined sugar and caffeine. She got it down to a coffee a day, and she was still having the occasional little bit of sugar, but much completely different from what she was having. We added in a good EPA DHA to help with the joint pain. We added in D3K2. We added in menopause, so 3 capsules a day of the herbal formula. And we added in an isotal, which was to help with the waist circumference, the waist circumference, which was really helping her with cravings. After 2 months, she was able to maintain healthy eating habits. She began to start to incorporate some strength training and a little bit of dancing. She continued on with the vitamin D, continued on with the menopause, and really added, after a couple of months, started to look at adding in Zen Plus and a magnesium biglycinate to help restore those energy levels. And, happily to report that, she feels very, very different and able to cope with her perimenopause symptoms. So wrapping up, and I hope you've got a few questions for me. I do have a special deal for you on at the moment, just to coincide with this masterclass. And I'd like you to think about taking this opportunity tonight or within the next 3 days, certainly by the end of the month. You can have a bag of protein fix, normally worth £40, a pot of menopause, the plant blend with the black cohosh and all the good herbs, a hot flush essential oil blend, or if you don't experience hot flushes, I would like to make up a personalized essential blend for you to use, maybe for digestion or for sleep or for your hot flushes. And I'd like to offer you a session called a hormone health check 1-to-1 session to be taken in December. Now, the value of this is £155, and it's yours tonight for £55. So if you'd like to take advantage of this, I have 5 of these packages to offer. So if you'd like to take advantage of this, please let me know. Or you could grab a copy of my new book and also add in a health check. If you haven't already got the copy of the book is valued at £30. Plus, you can grab a 45-minute hormone health check with me as a session in December, and that would be yours for £50. So if you'd like to take me up on the offer tonight, just email me or mention to me after this. Email me at trish@trishtuckermay.com and tell me which offer you would like as a result of this session. And failing that, you can always get a copy of my book. If you haven't already got that now, it is available on my website on trishtuckermay.com. Hopefully you're still with me, and I would now like to answer any questions that you have. So let's see if you've got any questions in the chat. And let me just see where you are. There you go, stop sharing. But there's nothing in the chat. No questions in the chat. Okay, tell me, firstly, any questions, and also tell me what is 1 or 2 things that resonated, that you think, okay, I could do that. Inga, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, a lot of things resonated. I think for me personally, because I was saying earlier, sort of brain fog is a problem, and sort of digestive issues. I think what really hit was the smoothies, actually, the juicing and the smoothies, which is something I used to do. And I think because of time and not always being organized enough and doing everything for everybody else, kids, and I haven't done that so much anymore. And I think that would really be valuable to kind of make up a batch sort of in the morning, take it to work, and especially that time in the afternoon when I feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to have a coffee and a biscuit to just push me back up, actually have a smoothie or a juice.
Yeah.
So I think that was something, I mean, I've written loads of things down, the fermented foods as well, which is something I used to do a lot more. I think that would be really good for me as well. That really resonated. Yeah, sort of that's the sort of big things, and looking a little bit more at supplements as well, even though I do take a few things, but it's a bit random. It's kind of what I think I should have, but maybe not so specific. So actually, yes, I would love to take you up on one of the offers for sure. I think that would be really good to get a bit more targeted information of what would be good for me now to take.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good idea. And, with the smoothies, I just bung as much as I can in there because, I'm making them for my kids as well. So I know that they're going off to school with a bit of protein, some seeds, some good oil, I put all sorts of, I even put, at the moment, I've been putting elderberry extract in there. I just had it in the cupboard, just to get the vitamin C content up. Shove a bit of kale in there, a bit of parsley from the garden, any of the leafy greens left over from the veg box. Often I make it taste a bit chocolatey for them, like I'll put cacao in it. Or sometimes I'll just put a heap of berries in there that's still got maybe some of the super greens or whatever I've got in the cupboard I can sneak in there that I know that they're getting those nutrients.
Yeah.
And then, and sometimes I'll make a couple of days worth, and I keep them in the big passata jars in the fridge or glass jars, any like big, big jar, but filled to the top. So there's not a lot of air in there. So it's not starting to oxidize. And then that, that'll keep for a few days, 2 or 3 days.
Perfect.
And it's quite good to just pull it out at that end of the day. And, it's so easy when you get to, oh goodness, the 4 o'clock time and it's frenzy time, kids hassling you, or you've just come in and you're tired, and then you've got the night ahead of you, you've got chores to do, you've got food to make, you're already exhausted, you've already made a million decisions about your eating, drinking, you're dehydrated, and you're just looking for that quick fix. So a good smoothie at that time. I love mixing it with coconut water or just water, or sometimes a little bit of plant milk, but just keep the calories down. It doesn't have to be too calorie thick. But that you're just getting an extra portion of veg at that point, which is good.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, good. Kaylee, what did you reckon? Did a few things land for you?
Yeah, definitely. And interestingly, it was similar for me, just to be reminded of those really simple things like smoothies. Really does. Yeah, it did go. I know about a few weeks ago, I got into a phase of juicing. And these things go in phases, but if I could go from juice to maybe the next week doing smoothies or something, then there doesn't always have to be a gap. And I had forgotten about the smoothies. And I suppose if there was one question, I was thinking, the food, listening to food nutrition, that is really interesting. And then I was thinking about breakfast. You were saying, so we threw these things out, like we eat muesli in the house, but it's still a kind of high carbohydrate way of, and I make it so it's got loads of nuts in it and stuff. But if I was thinking about fat and, what did you say again? I wrote it down: fat and protein for breakfast. What would that look like? Is it cheese and all? Yes. It's like what? Yeah. What would it be? What would you make?
So rotating your breakfast. So if you're making a muesli and you've got lots of seeds and nuts in it, that is a really good thing. And maybe having a little bit of natural yogurt with that, if you can tolerate dairy. Okay. That would be one breakfast, but I wouldn't have that every single day. Yeah. I would rotate with. Some mornings we'll have oily fish in a pan with some of the greens, like the chard or whatever from the veggie box delivery. Some mornings I'll do a chia pudding, so I know that in the chia seeds I'm getting fat and protein.
Yeah, so just soaking the chia seeds the night before, something as simple as that. In anything.
Simple as that, like getting a jar, putting some chia seeds in, put some water in first, then I mix it up with a little bit of cacao and maybe some almond milk, and then maybe some berries or something like that. So I know that chia seeds, I'm getting good fat and protein. And it's quick, easy to go. The only thing at this time of year, I don't like them cold. Cold, damp food doesn't agree with me. So unless it's got yogurt in it, if it's just got a plant-based milk in it, shake it up in the nighttime and leave it out on the bench so it's not cold.
Yes, I see what you
And
mean.
if it is really cold, like I'd get up really early and I'd get it out of the fridge so I'm not having it too cold.
Yeah, okay.
Chia pudding also you can warm up like a rice pudding if it's, just take the edge off and just have it a little bit warm. My smoothies I love because they're easy.
Yeah.
Look, sometimes I will have some salmon in a pan with some eggs. A good fat protein, good high zinc. What else do I do?
You eat a lot of avocados as well? Are you putting a lot of avocados into
I
things
do.
like
I mean,
that?
this time of year they're crap. I loved it when I go to Australia, and of course you've got an abundance of them, and they're amazing. The last couple of avocados I've had have been pretty crappy, I must say, and I just think, oh, it's such a waste of money.
Yeah,
and they're out of season now. But certainly adding a little bit of coconut oil to things as well can be quite good. Just getting the fat.
Yeah.
Although my kids don't really like it.
It's another rich thing to add to it. That's really useful.
Yeah.
So I wrote down a lot of little words. I was particularly interested in the supplements as well. Of just knowing that sometimes I think I know what is good for me, and it was good to hear that vitamin C was in there, but it was really useful looking at the supplements, and it was really interesting looking at the food and the triggering foods and taking in the words like cortisol, and it was very useful to me, and I know it will be useful to my friend as well.
Great, darling. Great. Good stuff. And look, for any of you, for all of my clients, I extend my practitioner discount to the Natural Dispensary. So the Natural Dispensary dispenses supplements all over the country, and they also own Sunshine. But I get a practitioner discount, which I extend to my clients. So once you've got that account, you're always getting 10% off. So it just makes it a little bit more affordable as well.
Amazing.
Ellie, are you there?
Hi, I am here. I'm not very well.
Oh.
Hi. No, I've like got a flu-y thing, and then I remembered late this evening, like that's why I was late. Sorry. I am here and I have been listening, and thank you.
You're welcome.
I think my brain is a bit fried. I feel like it's reassuring that I've been doing a lot of the things. I have a smoothie every day, and that's high protein, and I fast 16 hours generally. Apart from when I'm on my bleed. I think I'm really early perimenopause. Like I've just started to have symptoms this summer brought on by stress. But I think I would like to take you up on the offer where you get the 1-to-1 and the oil blend, and I think it was the first one.
Yep.
So I think that'd be really good to
that's fine.
talk over. The supplements I'd really like to know, because I know like about magnesium, and I do take vitamin C and zinc and all of those, but just to have it more tailored to, because I've had 2 very stressful years, so I've kind of jumped into a lot of the things resonated with the cortisol and my adrenals and my thyroid, and so it'd be good to. It's been really useful. Thank you.
Great.
I have literally done it from my bed, but
oh bless. My son's sick in bed as well. I've had 3 clients cancel this week because they've all got the lurgy as well. So
it's
look after yourself. There's a lot. It's a big melting pot of germs out there at the moment.
It is all over Stroud. And I didn't escape it.
That's what I said when they rang the school yesterday, Deer Park, and they said, like half the school. It's like, no wonder.
I don't know if it is connected with people having the flu mist thing, but who knows?
Yeah,
I hope. Often everyone gets
my son
ill.
away from the school on that day, but yes, it's a lot of people that are presenting with lung challenges, and they're all having flu jabs and COVID jabs. It's like, oh goodness, okay.
Yeah. But thank you.
So all right. What Selena will do now to stop this recording. Oh, look, if you're watching on replay as well, that offer will be open to you till the end of the month. But if you happen to watch it a few days after the end of the month, we'll keep it open. As I said, I've got 5 of those packs, particularly with the Meno piece, to give away. So they'll be included. So let me stop the recording. And